Alright, I got this. Metagame VGC, damage called EQ. Hey guys, so this happened. In my journey of getting into competitive Pokemon, I found a few terms that I had no idea what they mean, so I thought I would share with you guys. The first one being VGC. This is actually pretty interesting because I realized that it was actually established by the Pokemon Company, and I think that makes it pretty official. It's the Video Game Championships. I really don't know how to get into or how to get invited into one of these, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then if you want to play any type of game competitively, you will need to learn about the metagame. And the metagame is simply the most efficient tactics available that people are currently using at the moment, because the meta is always changing. So for the case of Pokemon, it would be like which Pokemons are being used or what kind of movesets they tend to have, and so on. So for the meta, I have a few tools that I use to like kind of get to know what the current meta is. Obviously, you can like play online and find out what people are doing, but these tools that I'll show later might be very useful for you as well. And then if you're anything like me as well, you will probably watch the pros playing all the time, and they come up with things like crits, and obviously that's a pretty easy one to know. Means critical hit. Or EQ, which means earthquake. This one took me a while, like I had no idea what they meant, and I thought it would be funny. But yeah, there's probably a few more terms that you will have to get used to, as I am doing now. I came across with EVs and IVs. Obviously, these probably need a video on their own, but there's already a lot of explanation on how they work. For now, effort values will be the way you train Pokemon and like in which stats you invest the most. IVs, these are essentially how your Pokemon hatches, or yeah, how good it is in a certain stat from the moment it hatched. These you cannot change with training, and in order to change these, you would have to get into breeding, which probably needs another video on its own. If you're interested in that, let me know. So the first tool that I wanted to share with you guys is it's called Pikalytics. I'll provide the links as well in the description of this video, and this is where you kind of can see what is happening or what Pokemon are being used in the current meta. For me, this is mostly very useful to know what is the most probable Pokemon that you will find on your way. So just keep in mind, however, that these statistics are not taken exactly or from the game itself, but they're taken from something called Pokemon Showdown, and that's kind of a battle simulator on your browser, which can also be a very good tool in case you want to test a team or something like that. You can just put together your team and test it. And then what you see here is basically a list of Pokemon where they are like organized top to bottom, how much frequent they are in certain ranks. So for example, if we go to 0 ranks, this takes into account everything, and it's 37%. But if we go to higher ranks, then it's 55%. Then you can get into a little bit more data about that Pokemon in specific, and like you will see here what moveset it usually has and what teammates it usually has, its base stats. This is pretty useful for when you're battling and you kind of want to see if they're especially bulky or physically bulky, and then you can see it. In the case of Tapu Fini, he's pretty bulky in both, so she's usually pretty good for like a tanky Pokemon. And then also what kind of abilities they're using and what is the EV spread for it. Also what items you use. Now for the next tool, we can take an example from here. Let's pick one of the most dominating Pokemons in the current meta, Glastrier. So he's pretty strong. He's a very strong Pokemon, and if you see here, the speed he's very slow with a base speed of 30. But that makes him a very good candidate to go with Dusclops as a teammate here. And what Dusclops has is like 99% of the time he would have Trick Room. And Trick Room, is, in case you don't know, it makes lower Pokemon move first, making it very strong. So, also if you're anything like me, you probably have heard the word damage calculator. And
what's the calc on that? I thought this would be a guaranteed KO.
Calc going into the second game.
Now, using the example from Pikalytics that we had before, you just make sure that you have clicked here doubles, just to be exact. And let's imagine that you are facing Glastrier and Dusclops. So in this case, you're pretty sure that Dusclops is gonna Trick Room, right? Then you will be facing one of the most common questions: can I take Dusclops down before he can Trick Room? So we can use this to calculate that. Let's just pick Dusclops here and select physical wall. You will see here the EVs are mostly on HP and defense, and that makes him like pretty tanky. So let's go back to Pikalytics and pick one of our Pokemon. Let's say you want to use a Dragapult. So we come here and select Dragapult, yeah. And then just making sure I don't want the special attacker, I want the physical attacker. So choice button, I think, yeah. So you can see here that Dragapult in this case is mostly based on his EVs, is a physical attacker. And then the attacks here would be Phantom Force. Yeah, this is pretty standard for him. So you're wondering if you can one-hit KO Dusclops. So if we go here and we select Dynamax, because in this case Dusclops is pretty tanky, you will see here that Max Phantasm has a 57 to 67% chance to hit KO. That means we cannot really get rid of him in one turn, and putting us in a very bad spot. But if we try and say, let's pick someone else, maybe let's pick Moltres here. So Moltres, the Galar, right? And we will make him a special attacker. 252 and 252 for speed. And let's say he has Fiery Wrath, which is his signature move, and yeah, with Dynamax. And you can see that still with that, it's not really a guaranteed KO, right? It's 79% chance to one-hit KO. But then you can say, okay, maybe we have a Helping Hand, and maybe we have one item that can help. It's Life Orb, for example. Life Orb. And then if we combine all these things, like with Helping Hand, Life Orb, we can see that it's a guaranteed one-hit KO, making sure that Dusclops in this case will probably not be able to set up Trick Room. So this is just a very general example of how you can use the damage calculator in order to like put together a team and start thinking in a way like, okay, how do I prevent Trick Room from happening? Maybe that's one of the things, or maybe a different strategy for you. And the last thing that I saw that was very useful for me was game mechanics, like learning all the game mechanics. This is essentially what makes Pokemon a little bit more than just a turn-based game, and it includes things like terrains and natures of the Pokemon, abilities of the Pokemon, so like also priority moves and so on that you need to learn and when they can work. For instance, you cannot use priority moves when there's a psychic terrain going on. This is something that I kind of had to learn in trial and error, you know. So yeah, I'll leave it here for today, guys. As always, thanks for watching. If you're interested for me to go more in depth in one of these things, let me know in the comments. And yeah, just check out my my links here in case you want to get to know me a little bit more, and see you until next time.